I finally got around to finishing Zero Day on Netflix, their latest miniseries starring Robert De Niro, among many other names. Let's talk about Netflix's latest show with full spoilers. I was looking forward to the show a lot. I really loved the premise and the idea of the show when it was first introduced. I enjoyed the cast. I thought it was an absolute stacked cast. And Netflix, when it comes to their miniseries, had a pretty good recent track record. So I was excited to see what this show was all about. And even after the first episode, I felt the same way. I felt very locked in on what I was watching and the ideas that they were throwing at us and the conspiracy threads that they were pulling on. But unfortunately, that's as far as I got. I don't usually review a show like this where I have these types of feelings, at least in most recent memory, but I would not recommend watching Zero Day whatsoever. I was extremely bored after the first episode. I felt like there was no real stakes in anything I was watching. Yes, some people were dying and there was this mass outage when it came to all electricals and just everything that was happening, but it was so incredibly predictable. And I knew from the get-go that it was within people of the U.S. government and that it was more than likely Matthew Modine's character and that Robert De Niro's daughter, played by Lizzie Kaplan, who I love, was also involved because of their strained relationship. And speaking of Robert De Niro, no real emotions with this guy. Obviously, he has an incredibly historic run when it comes to film, television, or film career, but in this show, I didn't care for him whatsoever. That's the biggest thing I took away from the show is that even though that the stakes were set up to be high and that there was this huge thing going on with the U.S. government and we have never been exposed like ever before when it happened with the Zero Day event, I felt no emotions whatsoever behind it. There was no weight to what I was watching. And like I said earlier, the cast is incredible. There are so many big names in this show, but it felt like I was watching nothing. And that's so unfortunate because I felt like this had such great potential. They were really tackling something that could have been great. We had that psychological warfare thing happening with Robert De Niro's character, and then they were going after TV personalities with torture methods and all of these things that were happening that, again, had great potential when it was announced and in the beginning, but never fell through. So yes, if you had Zero Day on your list, if you were looking forward to watching it and it is next up on your watch list, I'm sorry to say, but you should probably take it off. I do not recommend watching this show whatsoever. Great potential. It did not live up to it whatsoever. And just once again, another Netflix show or movie that just doesn't pan out.